My mom and dad started farming here back in the 50s, and they just got tired of moving from farm to farm. They rented, and they finally decided this was a good place to buy, and that's what they did. They bought this place. And I guess my dad's not around anymore, but my mom's going to be 93 years old this spring, and she's living in Miller, so still living in her own house. Well, I plant mostly beans and corn and wheat, and probably have about 800 acres of farm ground and probably about 1,400 acres of grass. Put up a lot of hay in the summertime. Start calving in April, and hopefully we'll be wrapped up in June here, and take the cows or the calves off in October, and we'll probably background them to about 800-900 pounds. Hopefully they'll weigh that much by the first part of March or last part of February, and then we haul them to town and let somebody finish them out. About 250 cows, mama cows, so it keeps us pretty busy. How I heard about Farm Rescue, it was advertised in our local paper, and I just seen it in the Miller Press there. And I really didn't think much about it, and then when I broke my first rib, I didn't think much about it, but, and then when I broke my second rib, I was hurting a lot, and I had a lot of time to sit in the chair, and I started thinking, I don't know how much worse this is going to get. And I thought, here we are a couple weeks away, and I better be thinking about something. And I talked to my wife about it a little bit, and she says, well, make the call if you think that's what. I says, this could get worse before it gets better, and it kind of did, because our weather just went really bad on us. And I just thought, it would be a backup, and then I never really sent in the application till later, and I know Bill says, well, we're going to be in that area, give us a call and fill it out and do it, and that's what I did. And boy, here he was calling, said we're ready to plant, so we got after it, but I was glad I did it. I was the only one that knew how bad I was hurt, and I thought, I'm not going to be able to do it. I don't have a hired man, and I'd already asked a lot of my wife. She teaches school, and she took some days off, and my son, and well, he's out discing right now, but for a 15-year-old kid, that's a lot of responsibility, and I just didn't think that he should have to do that. He's great help and everything, but to get stuff done in a timely manner, if you can find somebody, and if there's an organization out there that'll do that, I'd say that's a great deal. First time I broke a rib, I just was pitching straw into a cow pen, and I had my arms over my head, and I coughed, and I broke a rib, and doctors didn't believe it, but that's kind of the way it happened. And second time I kind of got hit by a cow and pushed a gate into me and did another rib on 2 different occasions, and that one kind of scared me a little bit. So this is one of these 100-year-old barns that I never ever certified as 100-year-old. It's an old timer. Got a couple heifers that aren't going to have calves, and I'm trying to feed them, and I figure with beef as high as it is, I don't want to have to buy any in the store. Well, I was just trying to get a cow in, and she turned on me and slapped this gate right up here where I had already broken a rib about a week before, and it broke the rib right below it, and very painful. But I guess that teaches you a lesson when the doctor tells you you aren't supposed to be out there. I guess you aren't supposed to be out there. I was actually trying to protect myself this way, and the gate swung around, and she turned, and it just swung and hit me right in the bottom rib. And that's the story I'm sticking with anyway. So, put me down on the ground. Yeah, it can happen real fast. You don't only think about it, but you're dealing with basically a wild animal, and when they're having calves, their hormones are going, and they're just a little bit on the crazy side, but it happens fast. I guess the guy thinks he's invincible, but that's for teenagers, I guess. It's been about 3 weeks now, and the pain isn't near what it was, but it's just, I'm not really supposed to do any heavy exertion, or she says I could puncture a lung, or you could break another rib, so it's something the guy's got to be careful of. There's no doubt about it. Had a lot of help from my son. He's missed a lot of school this spring, but couldn't have happened at a worse time when you're right in the middle of calving and we had all that snow. But I had a lot of good neighbors that came over and helped feed and stuff, but you can't really expect them to go out there 24/7 when you're calving either, you know, and my wife and my son did a lot of that. I'd try to direct traffic, I guess, and manage the situation, but sometimes you feel like you got to get in the fray, but you got to be careful. I think it's just a great thing that all these sponsors like RDO and Dakota Bank, all these banks, I mean, you can say what you want about the banks and everything, but there's a lot of corporate sponsors. This thing wouldn't get done without them, you know, and it's just a really good thing that, you know, RDO and all these companies supply the machinery and the time and I sure would like to thank all these sponsors for doing this, because it's been tough this spring with calving. I mean, if it was just a farming deal, yeah, you know, you could probably just go out and hire somebody to do it. But when you got all this stuff with the cattle and stuff and the weather we've had, it kind of drains you, you know, and it's really good that these companies do this for somebody, because it costs a lot of money to put a tractor and air seeder out there like that. I know what it costs. So I really would like to thank everybody for that. And you know, Bill's got to be thanked too. There's a lot of guys that did, they're all volunteers. I think he told me there was only 2 people that were getting paid, and that was the secretaries, and the rest of the guys are just all volunteering their time. I don't know how he does it, because he just goes. And when they said they were going to be here at a certain time, they were here, and him and Ted, they put in a long day, and they were very, very courteous and very upbeat about it, so can't beat that. I would really encourage other people to apply for farm rescue, just because, you know, it's an option that's there, and people don't realize, you know, well, farmers are kind of stubborn that way. They want to do things themselves and they don't want to admit that they need help, but you know, it's something that it could get worse just because you're pushing your body to the limit, and why not take advantage of something that's there, you know, and if they're willing to come and do that, that's just a great thing. And I've known some people, you know, they thought about doing it and they just, you know, and I mean they were in bad shape, and they should have did it, you know, but they didn't do it. They're, like you say, they're a proud lot, and they just don't want to take help. And there are other places where there's people that'll come in, you know, a group of people come in and do you know, a harvest or something like that for them. But I really recommend Farm Rescue. Go ahead and apply, because it's something that I really think you need to look at. The application process was just, there was nothing to it. They got the job done. That's the main thing.